So, today I wanted to talk about weird, not habits or hobbies, but things that interest me. And I know everyone's going to go, oh, every woman likes this, but I love crime documentaries. I love reading books about serial killers. I do not fantasize or idolize the serial killers in any way. The thing that interests me is the psychology behind it, their background, what happened. Did they have, brain damage, frontal lobe damage, and all these kind of things? It's the same with, I get into, or I have been in heated debates about pedophilia, because that is also an illness if you look that up. And I honestly think, if, please understand this correctly, if it wasn't so stigmatized, that people would actually go and seek help. But due to people being afraid of being deemed a pedophile, they don't seek help, and that's what causes them to harm children, because there is medical castration therapy, all of those kind of things. And I in no way condone it whatsoever, but I think that's part of the problem why it runs so rampant, is because they're not able to get the help that they need. Because, I mean, let's face it, you really think somebody wants to have that kind of attraction? I don't think so. It's just like, you don't wake up and decide who you're attracted to. It is a mental illness. So, yeah, I love crime documentaries. I can give you my, not favorite, I would say the worst serial killer that I think is out there, or he's not alive anymore, would be Albert Fish. Look him up. Absolutely horrifying. It looks like this, sweet old granddad, and he loved to murder and eat children. And then he would send the parents of his victims letters about it. So I think he absolutely, hands down, Albert Fish is the worst one for me. I would say I kind of feel sorry for people like Eileen Wuornos. Terrible, terrible, terrible upbringing. I think after that first killing that she did in self-defense, if she had come forward and gotten help, things wouldn't have spiraled the way that they did, because trauma can do really bad things to the mind. And yeah, she went, completely insane. If you've watched the videos of, like, she thought that the police, knew that she was a serial killer, and they wanted her to be the first female serial killer, and that they were planting bugs in her cells and, making her go crazy and all that. So I kind of feel bad for her. I don't, like I said, I don't condone anything that she did. I just feel sad for her that it turned out this way. And this one is going to be a controversial one, because yeah, he's really hated. But I would say I also kind of feel bad for Jeffrey Dahmer. I don't know how many of you guys have watched the Netflix series. There's also confession tapes, there's documentaries. And he was just kind of like the guy that had a really bad upbringing. His mother was on a ton of medication when she was pregnant with him. There was fighting in the home. There was abuse in the home. He was gay in a time where it wasn't so okay to be gay. And if you look at what he was doing, he says it himself, he was trying to create someone that wouldn't leave him. And I don't know. I just think that's really sad. The fact that you would have to go to such extreme measures to actually have someone stay because you're that lonely. And like I said, 100% do not agree, condone anything he did. I mean, the fact that he would eat some of his victims because he thought that that meant that they would stay with him just shows me a very, very disturbed and lonely person. And I can't help but feel a little sad for him. I'm sad for all his victims, of course, and their families, and it's fucking horrendous. But he's another case of, like, he should have gotten help, but he wasn't around a family that was able to help him. I mean, they pretty much abandoned him when he was like 6, 17, 18. and he was on his own with all these thoughts, and he had alcoholism, and like he was discharged from the military, and I mean, just his whole life was just spiraling down and down and down. And yeah, I also like the fact that when he was caught, he did admit to everything. He was very forthcoming. He didn't hide anything, and that's quite rare if you watch a lot of these, tapes, documentaries of the actual people like Bundy or, Gacy or anything like that. They try to manipulate the conversations and try to hide certain details, but Dahmer didn't really do that. So most would say it's like a cop out, to say, oh, well, those are the famous ones. But those are the three that strike me the most. But there's definitely tons of other ones out there. I mean, there's even one somewhere in Spain, I think. I can't remember his name right now. I have an encyclopedia of serial killers. And he got off, like, he came out of jail and became a YouTuber. I mean, and he killed, like, I think 60 something people. Fucking crazy. I'll have to look up my facts on that. But it is true. There is one. And I think it was because it was something gang related, and his pregnant wife was killed, and then he just went like on a murder rampage. But yeah, so I do enjoy watching them. I actually do watch a lot of crime documentaries to sleep. I know that sounds terrible. I think it's just a way of occupying my mind at night, thinking about it, or like, missing persons cases or unsolved mysteries, things like that, because it keeps my mind busy and helps me fall asleep, which most people would say you shouldn't watch that because then you get too interested. But since I've watched so many and been doing it for so many years, it's kind of calming, which sounds kind of grotesque, but yeah. There have been some, of course, that I've been like, no, I can't watch this right now because it's either too interesting or too gory, or and stuff like that. Oh, another one that I think was really interesting, Edward Kemper. If you've not heard of him, look him up. He is actually still alive. Also a fascinating case. Highly intelligent man. Yeah. Do you guys like any of this kind of stuff? I know it sounds so cliche because everyone says they love it, but I actually do really love the psyche behind all of it. And that's why I read like the books, watch the documentaries, all of these things, and try to find like actual recordings of the people themselves. And of course, the families, the victim statements, all of these things combine, the trials. I just, one thing I don't really get is if you were abused as a child and you know that kind of pain, why would you want to inflict that upon someone else? I've That's one question that always stumps me. I don't get it. I mean, I understand. I've seen some cases where, children were forced to watch murder, PORN, and that's their first sexual encounter. So that's what gets lodged in their brain. That's the only thing that can get them going. And that's the father's fault, the parents' fault, in that case. They made that person what he is, like, or, what about you being a born psychopath? That's also an illness. It's, yeah, I really love to think about the psychology behind all these kind of things, because what's the difference between you being born a psychopath or someone born with Down syndrome? They can't help it. I'm not saying, yeah, and not all psychopaths become violent or kill people. I mean, there's a lot of, or sociopaths, there's a lot of sociopaths running the world. Let me tell you that, like in the high up places, the ones that don't have any feelings, trample on everyone to get to the top. So, yeah. Do you guys have any, like, I wouldn't say favorite, that sounds so wrong to say, but like interesting ones that you'd like to talk about or let me know about? Because obviously, I don't know all of them that are out there, but yeah, it's a topic that I find really fascinating. Fascinating, there we go. That's a good word for it. Fascinating, and not for the crime. I very rarely care about like the actual crime aspect of it. It's more of why and what and how and yeah, those kind of things. So yeah, just let me know. Maybe it could be a topic for live stream.